Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Life is People. Well, I can't say how excited I am to sort of reconnect. And I was just realizing just before we went live, dude, it was 7 years ago since we last did our conversation live. And you think back then that was when Trump was just a TV reality show. Brexit didn't happen. It's a long time. Or to quote Graffiti Falls, some time flies, for some time stops, but time goes on and on and on.
Absolutely. I can't. How long did you get into it? I know people are clueless. It's 30 pages, 30 chapters, 30 tracks, whatever you want to call it. And you said you got 20 deep.
Yeah, I got finally I got to about 22 deep.
22. Jesus, that's a short time considering I only just gave it to you. It's 3 hours long. I know that's a lot, but wow, I can't believe you went that long into it. Even for me, it's you have to. I'm sure you'd agree. You once you get started on, we'll talk about this later, but yeah, once you get started into it, it's just sort of like either you keep going or you stop and you sort of shake it off, and you have to be like, wow, okay, that's what the fuck did I just listen to? It's a very mind. It grabs you. It's different. It's weird. But yeah, lots has happened. I can't believe it's only been, what'd you say, 8 years?
7 years since 7 years since we did last face to face, dude.
Oh, since I did the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. How long's it been since we started then? At least 9 years, 10 years.
That was we're talking 2014. Yeah.
Cafe.
They were the days, dude.
The most mind-boggling thing was hearing that David, who had put the thing together, was just coming out of a hut. That was just weird. That sort of came like out of left field, and it was like, really, like I don't know. Those were some weird times.
But do you know the thing was I was thinking about this the other day, that I think the strangest thing about back then, I think maybe reflecting back on it, was people were a bit more innocent and naive with the internet back then. I think everyone just sort of like stuck a camera on and went live streaming because you could. Now people are a bit more wary about doing it because they know that it's out there forever, and people are a bit more careful what they say and don't say. But back then it was almost like the Wild West. Everyone was just meeting up and say what they wanted to say, and those days are definitely gone, I think.
I don't think it's I honestly think like sort of the opposite. I tried doing I was working with a cartoon artist, or I don't want to say a comic artist, really good writer, Mel Cartania, Robopop on Twitter. Been good friends with him for a while, been wanting to work with him, and I sort of sent him this idea that was based on a different story, and pretty much it was like, what if everyone decided that they had to wear a mask because they were, so afraid of being called out on their stuff. They were, they didn't want the idea of being online social media and being anonymous, and just I was thinking, what if everyone did that, just went into this really deep realm of I want to have my opinion, but I don't want to be held accountable for it. I just want to, I don't want my personal life attacked because of, something I said that might be controversial. And then the pandemic happened and nobody wanted to wear the mask. So I was just like, this is like, fuck. Like this really doesn't work, because my whole thing was based on people wanting to wear a mask to like hide their identity, but the idea of COVID, they wouldn't want to wear a mask. So the idea of wanting to hide their selves when they say shit, when they do shit, I don't think they want to hide themselves because I think they know that what they're saying is going to be, somebody's going to call them on it. If you're talking face to face, That's one thing, because that's not going out public, that's not being on the internet, that's not being saved forever. You know, you have to be aware of what you're saying on the internet and things like that. It's being saved forever. You know, it's receipts. People are going to pull it up. They're going to put it to you and say, you know, what about this? So when it comes to, you know, anything that I want to say, like extreme, I really do not go out and express my opinion hardcore on the internet. I do not. And it's not for fear of being canceled, because you can be canceled from any side. You know, everybody can just come for you when you're on the internet. Anybody can just come and attack you. It doesn't matter what, if they're left, right, center, left of center, far left, far right. You know, they can all come for you, whatever reason they have, and it's not worth it. Mental health wise, that's not worth it for anybody. You don't do those sort of things. You know, you don't just throw yourself into the lion's den and, you know, hope for the best. It's not going to happen. But
no, I mean, yes. I mean, I think some of the things haven't changed. I mean, I've always been, as you know, I've always been surprised by how many people want to not put their face up on the screen. They all want to do it behind a pseudonym and a different name. And I know that's coming from me, who's art, you know what I mean? But it's people have always had that. I've always had, no, I'm saying people have always had that thing of hiding behind just a pseudonym and a known face shown. But like you say, people, when they do that, will come out with more controversial, for a better word, stuff. But they don't realise that they're still being connected, and it's still easy. It's not that hard to a bit of research to find out, you know, drop them back to the name and who they are. But I don't know. I agree with you completely. I think people just need to remember that this is all just archived, and I think people back then were a bit more kind of naive to it than they are now.
Well, we're humans, you know, it's easy to say something, you know, even I do it with subconsciously, obviously, but you know, you read an article or something and that idea pops in your head and you're just right away ready to comment on it. And I think even back, you know, when we were doing Life's People, I think we talked about, like, you know, if there's a comment box, somebody's going to comment on it. You know, we feel compelled to do that, to have an answer for everything, to have a response to everything, to be, you know, one of the weird things about social media, and especially stuff like Twitter, is like if you go for news, you know, if an event happens, you don't get it from one source, you get it from, you know, tons of different sources, and everyone's sort of saying the same thing. And then if you go to, you know, just sort of everything becomes like a tagline, or just a way of, I don't know, everybody commenting the same thing on the same things. And it's, you know, there's how many billion of us on the planet, and you know, you can't have all those original thoughts. But then you go on Twitter or you know, Facebook, whatever, and it's just everybody saying sort of the same thing over and over again, and there's no, it's all in the action of what we do with it. You have to do something about it. You can't just talk about it. And I'm not saying every person can just go out and make a difference. I think that's a big lie that's been sold to people. You know, it's hard as fuck. You know, you want to be somebody, you want to go out and make change. That's hard as shit to do, period. No matter what you want to do, you can do it as hard as you can, and you know, people will sometimes take it as failure because, you know, they weren't able to make the change that they wanted to make. But that's, you know, that is just the way it is. You can only do the best that you can do, and if the best you can do is go on the internet and bitch about shit, you might want to find a better route. There's got to be a better way. It's simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, some things never change, and one of the lessons, I mean, I wanted to sort of discuss this with you. One of the lessons I've definitely learned, and it's not a lesson, I suppose, because I kind of knew it, but it's been reinforced to me, is that what you just said then, I mean, like you said, there's so many people that want to think they can, for globally change things by voicing an opinion or whatever it may be, or a thought or something, an insight they have. But ultimately, it always breaks down to the way that you can really. We discussed this back in the day. The only way you can really change the world around you is the people around you, your friends, your family. Build it out that way. That lesson's been hammered home to me so many times. I mean, as you know, the Seeding Dims are a perfect example of that. They don't try to go out and conquer the world. They've just gone out and built a fan base up, and it's just, you start slow, and it's following nature, and some things never change, and that's one of them.
Well, yeah, all I guess I'm saying is you can't just go onto social media as like John Doe 792467 and have your profile say that you're a freedom fighter and a free thinker, and it's just a bunch of like memes and stuff. Like that's no, you can't do that. You have to go above that, above and beyond that, way above and beyond that. I mean, but that's what social media is, that's what it was sort of raised on, what it was for, just sort of memes, passing on simple information quickly. Like even, I don't know, I was going to say something, I'm not going to bring it up. There's people who don't read books. So that was something that has come up recently if you follow pop culture, and that to me is weird, because you're so involved with pop culture, social media, your different apps, stuff like that, so you are adept to reading, but mostly what you're reading are memes. And that's I think, he's kind of a douche, but Richard Dawkins, I think, sort of created that term meme of what that was, and sort of the I don't know, I don't want to try to define it, but we all know what a meme is, and it can be used definitely in bad ways, just to portray information in a very bad way. Misinformation, some propaganda. It's so easy to just post a poster with a slogan on it, and people see it, they remember it. It's easy to remember. It's like a phone number. That's why phone numbers in the United States were 7 numbers, because 7 numbers was supposed to be like the easiest to remember. You make a meme, everyone remembers it, and whatever. That's become like the big thing, and for a lot of people, that's sort of what their attention span runs, is just memes.
Yeah.
Over and over, just memes and memes and memes and memes, and again, not good, because it's no thinking required. When you read a meme, no thinking required. It's just there, it's a statement.
Yeah, 100%. And then if you said to us, if you gone back to us and had a conversation to 7-8 years ago and said meme magic, you'd have been, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's just been proven since we last spoke. I mean, meme magic is something it is. That those manifestations that are made in memes affect real life, and it's that's the power of the internet as well. That's something that 7 years ago would have been, wow, that's it's affected politics, it's affected everyday life, that these small little memes can come out and have this global effect, almost.
Oh yeah, you can have 7 words and a picture, and that, wow, that can affect you. It can be done in good ways, it can be done in bad ways, it can be done in any way you want. It's propaganda, information. You can spin it, words, emotions. That's actually I have a well, first thing I wanted to say after all this is, I can't believe this is our first conversation after how many years of not talking. I mean, we've talked in text and stuff like that through Messenger, but now here we are live, and the first thing we do is, we go into this just ridiculous long conversation about memes in life and disinformation and the spread of everything, and we just sort of act like, oh yeah, that's just me and Tim. Like that's how we go. I haven't seen him in forever. I haven't talked to him in forever, but right away we just go into how long has it been now? 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
But, but that's it. Kind of relates to, which is with a separate conversation about the quote I was given from Graffiti Falls. I mean, time is just time, you know. As you know, and that's one of the things. Again, another reflection I can look back and, you know, if we've on that 7 years period, is that, as I said to you the other day, some people come, some people go, but when you have those real connections, it's like it could be 7 years, we could be speaking another 10 years, and it's almost like we just meet like we met yesterday, and that's what I love about us as humans.
It's never stopped. Like it feels like we just picked up wherever we left.
But without the well, put it this way, you know what I mean, for people who are hardcore and have gone back and listened to some of those, we've had some experiences in those times. We've met some people. That's all I'm going to say. Some characters.
It was a lot of fun. Too much fun. Too much fun, as they say.
Completely. So one of the things that I love to ask, you know, from your perspective, is you sort of go on.
Do you have it written down? Because real quick, I was gonna speak on what you were saying earlier about something. Yeah. Oh shit! What was it? I can't remember it now, Tim. Damn it! I just had it.
Memes. We were talking about the past.
Yeah, memes past. That's sort of that's Graffiti Falls. That's how it reads, right?
Yep.
We're on the trains, candy canes, Santa Claus, the tunnels, the dark, eyes wide.
Well, I'm fascinated to know, really, from your perspective, how do you think, when you sort of touched upon it with you know, and I don't want to go anywhere down that rabbit hole, you know, when we had the pandemic, how's that affected live things, you know, live shows and stuff like that? Because one of the things that I've noticed, I've gone through sort of ups and downs. I remember when COVID hit, and, you know, the Demons, for instance, were doing, you know, big doing venues but with no audience, and that was very strange. And then I was always saying at the time, I thought, well, when this all dissipates, people are going to be hungry for live music, and in some ways people have been, and they're very keen to go out and see live shows. But on the other hand, there's, you know, people are, even to this day, are still wary for whatever reason, cost of living, etc. But they don't. There's still that tentative about going out and seeing live performances. Is that the same in America as where you are right now? Are people still a bit kind of wary about going out and watching a live band?
I'm sort of like Les in Graffiti Falls. I couldn't tell you what's happening in the outside world. But from what I do know, some people are. There are some events. I don't know. You probably a political thing I don't want to get into, but the you know, the gun laws in our country. There was, I forget what it was, but there was some festival that was going to play in Georgia, but because of like newly enacted gun laws, pretty much you could have a festival of 10,000 people and anybody could be carrying a gun. Like there's nothing they could do to stop you from coming in. And so even from a, you know, from a non-moral political standpoint, you know, insurance would just be outrageous for that. Like, how do you cover a 10,000 person event and say that, you know, everyone can come in with a gun if they want? So they canceled, and like that was a big thing. You know, a lot of people are weary of stuff like that, especially if you're, you know, who wants to go to a concert with, you know, 10,000 people that could possibly, anybody could be carrying a gun, you know, madness. But I mean, yeah, there's a couple things to like make you not want to go to see live concerts, but most people want to go. I mean, it's if you want to pay $1,000 to see Rage Against the Machine, you know, fucking go for it. Keep raging against that machine for $1,000 a ticket. Really fight the fight. But yeah, people, they want to go out. You know, I don't know I don't know anybody that's would be scared to go out. Probably me. I would be that person. They'd be like, I don't want to go hang out in the, 15,000 people, fucking all. They're already gonna be sweaty and smoking, and but no, I'd still go out to a concert if they came to my area, which they don't. So
And I mean, yeah, that's just because nothing's changed, my friend. We're still the people who hate people party. That's never changed. There's just been about groups of people.
that's it. I almost forgot about that. I'm so glad you brought that up. Uh, it's like it should be the people who want to love people but end up hating people party, because I feel like we're so eager we will give people the chance. We want to give people the chance. We give you, we'll give you 75% like approval rating before you even speak. And then it just goes downhill from there. It gets weird.
But
people are weird.
No, it goes back to what we've sort of started this conversation with. I mean, it's, and I've definitely noticed this now. It's people are wary in their own head. You could call it self-censorship or whatever, but when you do speak to people, there's kind of like whole areas that people are like, oh, that's going to set a whole, like you don't want to go into politics, you don't want to go into this, you don't want to go into that, because it's just going to be massive arguments and divides. That's one of the things that's definitely happened since we last spoke live. I mean, I'm not going to get into politics and stuff, but there's things that have literally divided. I've known families who have been divided on political issues, and I thought this is so wrong, But people are wary of that. That's why, like I was saying, when you go out to, you meet any groups of people, you're kind of wary, thinking, if I say this isn't going to be just a conversation where we can discuss the issue. It's going to be, you're a bigot, or whatever it may be. From like you said, from either side, and it's just like that's not what we as humans should be like. We should be able to discuss things and talk things, like you say, on a level of being human, rather than just being in a team red or team blue, or whatever it may be.
Oh yeah, well, those discussions in general are just weird because, like I said, about like being on social media, is it seems like everyone's having the same conversation. They're all having the same arguments. They're all bringing forth the same facts to the table. You can see one, if a newspaper puts up something about, say Boris Johnson, or say that other guy, the orange guy, you look at the replies, and the replies are sort of just all the same. It's everyone saying the same thing just over and over again. And even if you're bringing facts to the table, they're still bringing the same facts. Everybody's bringing the same facts. It's like, nothing's brought together. I don't know. As far as talking politics with family and friends, I can't say I've really done any of that lately. And that's been a nice thing. But at the same time, I would crush them. No. No. I don't know. People are so weird and finicky with their politics that a lot of times some people just don't even know what they're fighting for. They're just fighting. You're brought up conservative. You're brought up Democrat. Sometimes they don't know what they're fighting for. They're just fighting. They're just they know to get into it. It's like just inherited, comes with the territory. You're brought up a certain way. Nothing you can do about it. So as far as like, if somebody wants to get into it with the politics, go for it. But I mean, how many minds have been, how many times have you actually like sat down and changed somebody's mind? Bringing it back to what I was going to say earlier, and I forgot. When I'm doing a new Test Subjects album with David Breather, one of the things I've been thinking about when I've been writing it, and it's 14 tracks now of just raps. Booyaka, straight in your face, just nonstop raps, boom shakalaka. And one of the ideas of making it was, I think it was Aleister Crowley who had this interview and was talking about, just sort of his situation, whatever. And it was mainly about magic and the power of words and what magic actually is. And, was he like this evil Satanist, devil worshipping, and from what I gathered from it, he was just kind of like, no. But, you when you look at the opposite, which is the hardcore religious sector of nature, of our world, a lot of people are very, hardcore religious. And he was playing the opposite of that. And just by playing the opposite of that, he was given certain powers of being larger than life. That he didn't make himself, he didn't use, obviously his magic Satanist powers, like, they're not real. So he's not actually making, doing voodoo and magic and shit like that. But just by saying he's propped up as being, a wizard, a magician. And that's sort of where magic comes from, is the idea of changing perception, changing, the way that people think about things, perceive things. And obviously with magic, it's something that, like, you kind of know is hokey, you kind of know is fake, but they're challenging, the way that you see things, the way that you view things. And that's sort of where like Graffiti Falls and this new Test Subjects album is coming from, is this idea of, just magic. And the way that magic happens is somebody who can, spin stories, tell you tales, make you believe that, make you think things are real that aren't real. You'll sit there and fight over Lord of the Rings and these hobbits and shit like that, and it's like, that's not real. But J.R. Tolkien was a magician because he made you think it was real. he made you believe in it so much that, like, you might punch somebody in the face for it. That's what I want to do. But that's just, I don't know, it's sort of the artist inspiring the artist. It's magic. It's just changing and altering perception, making you think things don't have to be the way that you always see them.
Oh, 100%. And you tie into that the fact that people don't go out and spend time in nature. They're not going to walk around forests or look at things that, so that their reality is literally what they're hearing and what they're seeing through a machine or through, their visual or audio inputs, rather than actually looking out in the world. So reality is quite easy to spin if you don't go out. But I mean, this is the thing. Time for some stands still, some time flies. But yet, the seasons come, the seasons go. I mean, it's autumn now. The leaves are turning colour. Winter will soon be here. Then the spring will be here, and another cycle comes. And I think people become, in some ways, detached from that by just focusing on the machine a lot more.
I don't think they want to. I don't think they want to focus on those things. They just do. We just do. I just do. Everyone does. It's I don't know, like I said, there's a comment box. You kind of want to put a comment. Like, I don't know, because if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, and they might be, whoever, and maybe you want your opinion known, maybe you want the dopamine from all the likes, all that shit. Who knows? But it's life. Life is people. It comes from being human.
There you go. Plug. So, but with the clock sort of ticking down, there's a couple of things I want to go on before we have another conversation. But one of the things I really want to talk about, is there anything particularly over the last, since let's keep with the theme, the last 7 years, is there any album or movie or film or book or anything that's really sort of stood out to you as being like, that's because, man, we're overloaded with a load of, for want of a better word, crap. There's a lot of just soulless shit coming at us all the time. You know what I mean? Music wise, film wise, book wise. So is there anything particularly, I really want to ask you this, is something that's inspired you or stood out to you as being like, that will go down when we look back in 10 years time or future into 20 years, something that will go down as a seminal album or a seminal film or anything like that, in your opinion?
I don't even know if that exists anymore. I don't know. I don't know if there are seminal albums. I don't think like there's just so much. It's so hard to digest everything, and I think that's the perfect word for it. Is to actually like, you can listen to the album, but did you really digest it? Did the whole thing go through the first time you heard it? You really have to like get into it. But by the time you've gotten into it, there's been, 30 or 40 groups that you like that have put out something new. And it's so one of the things for me, I don't know what time we're running on. I'm gonna try to make it quick. It's really been hard to find, not to find new things. There's tons of new stuff out there constantly. I mean, you can't not find new stuff. Finding the time to go through all of it, to really digest it, has been hard. I've been listening to a lot of like some classic, I don't know, just weird shit. I found this old podcast that I used to listen to called Backdoor to Reality, and they would play like, I believe it was a UK station just based on whatever, but it was a lot of like 90s electronica, like some Bjork, and then it would have a lot of parody stuff. So it was something you would totally, like, stoners would listen to after midnight. So it would just be like these parody songs of, instead of Black Hole Sun, there was a song called Asshole Sun. It was like, Asshole Sun, won't you It's a great song, you should look it up. But it was a 90s parody, I remember when it came out, but that's what this station, all they would play would just be some like, 90s or late 90s electronica, like Orbital, Orb, Bjork, I think Maisie Starr probably, just shit like that. And then all of a sudden it would be like parody stuff, like that you would just laugh at. It would be ridiculous. Other than that, I listened to some Joe Walsh. That's some old Joe Walsh, because he's a funny dude. I kind of want to go as him as Halloween, but I don't think anyone would get it, and I wouldn't even know how to dress up like that. Prodigy, I love Prodigy. I actually just listened to some Prodigy right before I came on the pod. Voodoo People, Diesel Power, even the new stuff though. I listened to some of like the 2020 stuff the other night. Like, it's still fucking great. R.I.P. to Dude, because I love Prodigy. I grew up with Prodigy. Have tons of their stuff, tons of their CDs. I have a huge collection of CDs that I bought, still haven't listened to. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really name it too specific.
On the Prodigy, this is as a random one. They played England a few months ago, and I know a couple of people went to it, and they had a hologram of your man, because he's now, you know what I mean? I was like, that must be a very, I don't know, being our age and going to see the gig with a hologram.
I would have cried. I remember having in, I think, 97, 98, when I was in like junior high, I remember having Fat of the Land in my like cargo shorts, in my like portable CD player, and that's what I'd listen to at school. And then, so many odd years later, I was like, still doing, Invaders Must Die, and, every album they came out with. And even, like I said, the last one I just listened to, the new one, that newest one they had come out with, fucking fantastic. I mean, it's great. I loved every minute of it. It's just, I don't know. It's something I grew up on, something I loved. I would cry if I saw him at a hologram doing like Firestarter. If I had the outfit, I should go as that for Halloween.
Yep,
if I couldn't go with Bill Walsh.
Yep, exactly. Well, dude, we've got literally, we've been discussing, we've got a minute left, so I want to have another conversation with you. But on this one, before we do wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with the final word.
Oh, balls, boners, titties, titties. Man, big honking hooters. There we go.
Perfect. And with that, say life is people, people.
Like those people.
Well, they say that life is people and that people are angels and that angels are devils and the devils are me and you.